Here we are again, after yet another long break week. My Hero Academia Chapter 424 spoilers are out, and all I can say is, I am not ready to say goodbye. Hori has me in a chokehold, but alas, let's get into it. As always, big thanks to Rikasu on Twitter. The chapter starts off a few days after the battle has come to an end. We see Meryl saying that the weather has finally cleared up and that people should be careful when washing their clothes because the wind is still strong. So this is definitely Hori's way of basically saying that even a few days after the fact, the reverberations of the last battle are being felt. We find out that the wind that has been felt all across the world was actually generated by Deku's last punch, and we get a nice little scene depicting some of the heroes, including Cementos, rebuilding Japan as foreign heroes arrive to help. Hori gives us even more world rebuilding as we actually get a single panel of Koichi from Vigilante flying around. And then Hori gives us our first real gut punch of the chapter as we see Bakugo in the hospital talking to a doctor who recommends that he receive robotic arms if he really wishes to continue to be a hero. I mean, this is shonen, so we knew someone was losing an arm, but it hits so hard knowing what an impossible choice this would be. Bakugo says that that's basically impossible because his quirk is essentially the sweat in his arms, and that he'll just work hard in rehab, but then he drops the first confirmation that Deku doesn't have a quirk anymore. Oh man, I really hope there's more to this, but let's keep going. The doctor basically says that if it wasn't for Ed's shot, he would have died. Yup. And that he needs to rest. That's when we cut to another room and we see Deku, and he can't believe that he's sharing a space with All Might, which does feel a little weird to me because All Might is essentially this boy's dad at this point. So of course you're going to be sharing a hospital room, but I digress. Let's keep going. Real quick before we move on, I know these really suck, but if you guys are liking and enjoying this video, please feel free to subscribe. We are trying to grow the channel and every little bit helps. Thank you. We get a nice little moment between All Might and Deku, and they're talking about how this must be Tsukauchi's doing. Deku says that he can feel his arms again, but he's still upset that he couldn't save Tenko's life. I think it's really interesting that he's referring to Tenko, aka Shigi, as Tenko. But anyways, he is upset because even though the hatred in his heart vanished, he refused to stop being the leader of the league until the end. Hori gives us yet another gut punch as All Might asks how Shigaraki's face was at the very end, and Deku remembers the end of their talk. All Might says that if Deku no longer saw the crying boy, then his heart was saved. That's some deep shit. All Might tells Deku that he sensed when he passed OFA over to Shigi, and that Shigi must have understood his intention. Deku agrees to this, but then tells him that he still has the embers of OFA inside him. What? Wow. Bakugo crashes through the door and starts to remember all their past, including their fights and evolving friendship, and begins to cry. Deku can't believe his eyes. And honestly, neither can I. But alright, as impactful as that is, I'm going to say something controversial here. I don't think we needed this here. Although I think this is great character development for Bakugo, and it should have happened, I don't think it should have happened here, if that makes sense. It doesn't feel like Hori is giving enough breathing room for this moment between Deku and All Might, but then again, these are just the very rough spoilers, so maybe when the official release comes out, I'll have a different opinion. We get a really great exchange between Bakugo, Deku, and All Might, where Bakugo states that after reflecting on everything, he wants to compete with Deku for a long time to come. Deku became the greatest hero the moment he ran to save Bakugo, but now the world knows that, and Bakugo saved All Might, allowing him to have this character growth and allowing him to express himself. All Might tells them that they both are the greatest and that they've both grown a lot. We get a note from the narrator stating that Deku's childhood innocence thought that the world would go back to the way it was before after everything was done. But the story isn't over yet. We see Shoto with his back turned against some shell-looking things and a very pensive-looking Ochako. Holy hell. Is Hori setting us up for a time skip? The narrator tells us that they still need to create a bright future. The last page shows Deku and Pels walking towards UA, which is being rebuilt. End of chapter. Oh man, I am an emotional wreck right now. I was so sad and excited reading all these spoilers. I hope it didn't come out too bland in the video, but I think Corey is setting us up for a time skip, which would mean this story isn't over. And the fact that Deku still has the embers of OFA? How? Oh man, so many questions that need to be answered. Luckily, there's no break next week and we are getting at least one more chapter. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. Every little bit helps, and I'll see you next time. Bye.